All right.
We have sound.
Excellent.
Oh, phone's off, and I do apologize. Last week, my phone went off, but I had it off, but the alarm. So I'm shutting the whole thing off. I had sounds off. So I'd like to call the Budget and Appropriations Committee to order. We have, yeah, and I'm going to give you the page. And when we talk about accounts, Barry did give a hand. That was you, wasn't it? That did that.
No, that was Councilor Hall.
You did it? I was going to say.
That was
Good
great.
job, Julie.
She did a great job.
Good job.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't.
That's what happens when you want to stay organized.
The feds are all like.
Okay, so we are going to start with the collector on page 14. See, I put tabs on mine.
I don't want efficiency.
So Deb, what we've been doing, city collector, welcome, and budget administration, Barry Lacasse, thank you again. What we've been doing is just having a discussion back and forth, the dialogue, instead of just going line by line. And first thing, you've had some changes within your department within the past year. You've changed over some of the billing procedures. How is that working out, and how is that affecting what you're asking for in your budget also?
Not so much billing procedures. Billing procedures are still done the same. I've added, police details has been there almost a year now, and fire details. But the billing is still the same process. It's the collection of payments that has changed. And that has been, it was a year in January that we were using our lockbox in Boston, where FIS collects payments for us. They get the stubs and payments and process those on a daily basis. Any person that sends in their online checks that they have where there are no stubs, they are done what we call CDM, which is customer decision making, where we have to sit and use our computer screen so that half of it is the FIS module and half of it is the Munis module, so we can look up what the resident is trying to apply their payment to and key in the information to the lockbox people so that it can get posted.
So procedure has changed a little bit too.
Yes.
Collecting and also procedure.
Yes.
So if I go on tonight and so the office is closed. So I go on tonight and I make a payment.
That's different. That's Unibank. That's online payments through the city's website. Is that the one you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
So I
That
go
has
on
not
to
changed.
Unibank. Okay, so that's part of my
That's the
question too is for the amount of people you have in your office, the job duties. Now, if I was to post something tonight, do you come in tomorrow manually do any processing?
Yes.
So if I come into your window at 5 up before closing, will it not get processed? Will it get posted till the next day?
Anything that you use, that you pay online, whether you do it at the window or at home, it does not get processed till the next day. It gets posted with the day of the payment, which would be yesterday in this circumstance, and interest as of yesterday, because that is the actual day of payment. It is impossible because you can pay your bill up till midnight online.
Right.
So it would be impossible for us to post all these payments prior to it changing over on the clock. So it's just much easier to adapt your posting procedure than it is to change that procedure. Because it gives people a lot longer to pay their bill that day. They gain extra hours.
So they're not, okay, because that was part of my question, because people talk about paying their payments, when are they processed? Okay, how many people in your office now?
We have 5 people in the office now.
Okay, and on a daily basis, what are their job descriptions, duties?
I have 2 clerks that work the window on a daily basis, as well as help prepare municipal lien certificates, the telephone, posting, whether that be the stuff that they've taken in at the window or mail, because we still do get mail here at City Hall, and lots of it, and we also have a lot of foot traffic at the window.
You do.
So if you don't have a receipt, it means it's a lot more work for my office to post the payments, because it has to be manually
An actual
keyed.
bill? Because I've actually lost my bill and I went to the window and they could not help me, they said. But there is a way to find me?
Yes, there is a way to
Okay.
find you.
Okay.
Don't know why they couldn't. That is curious. But,
Yeah, I saw staff vibes.
oh, I believe it, but I find it very curious because
Yeah. So that's why I was asking some of these questions
yeah,
too.
you can come
make sure you
in
have
without a
enough
bill. We have many people that come in without anything. We have to decipher what it is they're trying to pay because it's excise, utilities, taxes. Once you've deciphered what it is they're trying to pay, you can look them up. You cannot, motor vehicle excise, there are laws. The only way you can look up somebody for motor vehicle excise is you have to have your driver's license on you and the car must be registered under your name because otherwise that license isn't going to work. Or you have to have the plate number. There's many protections out there for people. You cannot look up people by their name.
Yeah, because you have to be careful.
Very careful.
And going back and forth, you work with the assessor's office
Yes,
also.
a lot.
The excise.
Yes. Excise is a big job for both of us because I provide them with a file that we received from Kelly and Ryan. They manipulate the file and so that they don't bill city-owned vehicles, they're exempt. And they pull all that stuff out, leave it in the commitment, but it's not included in the dollar amount. Then Danielle takes that information and she keys it in to Munis for those bills, and then I take the information and forward it on to Kelly and Ryan so that they can actually print the bills and mail them. That we do not print. The first commitment's over 35,000 bills. I'd never get done. So we get a very good deal from Kelly and Ryan.
We do, because I've been late, I forgot one time to pay, and then they send the bill, and you can go online and pay.
Yep.
Any questions?
Sure. I just looking through your budget, and the only difference that I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a change between the revised 2017 and the 2018 requested on the salary, and it's just a difference of $6,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Earned time.
About.
Does that have something to do with the 53rd payroll week? No. I don't know what that is.
But there's an increase in the salary line. I just, just wanted what that was.
Only thing I have in my office is longevity and salaries. I'm not quite sure what that line
Yeah,
is.
because longevity hasn't changed.
Well, the salary will go up with steps.
Somebody move up a step?
That's correct.
So that's what,
We had step increases for 1, 2.
That was now.
And is that how they're putting it on the budget now, in a separate line?
I'm sorry?
Is that how they're putting it on here as a separate line, this line here?
This is what she's talking about.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
because I'm
So I
looking
just
at
want to
this.
explain to people why they can change, and really
I
nothing
don't know
changes in the
what that
budget
is.
necessarily, but the personnel usually
Oh, okay.
affects it.
I did not realize that. I was looking at this because I see this and I don't know what that is.
Sometimes when someone retires or...
Oh, I'm sorry. I've truly misunderstood. I was looking in first of all, the 2016 actual and the earned time column. That's because it's when someone retires. That's how that's put on there. It's the first time I've ever had anybody retire. So I didn't know that's how they did it. But yes, the difference between the original budget and the requested amount is yes, any step increases that you have for employees in your office.
Okay, good. And that's just what we were talking about, and Mr. Conti, Councilor Conti and myself talked about, and we talked about this several times during the budget, that sometimes nothing actually changed operationally with the budget, but it's the changes in the salary, which is the largest part of the budget, which is, not concerning. It's just the way it is, and sometimes that's what causes the shift in the budget. Yeah.
And you're currently negotiating contracts,
That's correct.
so there
All of
there
our-
will be a shift, potentially.
All the city contracts expire on June 30th of this year.
And do you have any, I know that that's very limited as to what we can discuss with regards to that. Do you know do you have a time frame in which those negotiations will be wrapping up?
It
or
all
anything like
depends.
that?
We're on probably the fourth or fifth,
Fourth of the fourth.
negotiating meeting with most unions. And, it really depends on where the unions in the city end up. Like
Sure.
some will settle earlier, some will settle later.
Because that'll also make a big difference in the salary line this year, because we don't know what that expected change
Right, so we budgeted 0% cost of living increases. We budget all the step increases, so that what you see here is a step increase. We also budgeted basically a 1% of all salaries in a reserve account negotiations that you probably saw in the citywide category. So that's as far as we went. And then whatever the unions in the city end up settling on is what will determine whether or not we have to come back for additional appropriation or not.
I have a question, a follow-up question, but I'll ask you later. It's not important now.
Anyone else? Mr. Conti?
So Deb, in the collector's office, are you routinely asked by other division to check to see if people are current on their taxes when they apply for permits, licenses, and
Anything that's owed to the
special
city.
permits?
Anything. There's the city ordinance 931
Yeah.
something
The
that,
question is, are you routinely asked?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
constantly. I sign a lot of those. I keep track of that on my monthly report that I give to the mayor.
She has to. As part of the permitting process, the treasurer and the collector have to sign off on it. And it circulates around City Hall.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that it's happening.
It has to
Oh, yes.
Yeah, good.
We're
Excellent.
very, very conscious of that.
Good. Good for me.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you, Deb. I hope you're feeling better.
Thank you so much.
It left me today and went here, so I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
Oh, and is that AC on behind you? The thermostat will be ahead.
It's because I just brought in a bunch of 90-degree weather with me.
No, it's
I'm a
not.
crazy person.
I know, that's okay. I have no disinfectants
It's
with me.
on.
Page 16?
Yes. Okay, personnel. 16. Page 16. Personnel. So obviously, Alan, welcome. Bebo. Bebo.
That is correct.
Bebo. That's him. So welcome, and you just heard us talking, obviously negotiations are going on, and health is always a large portion
Absolutely.
of your budget. And what else is going on?
So let me give you a recap and tell you what's going on going forward. In the past year, in my office, we've had 2 retirements and filled 1 position. So you'll see the adjustment going down on the salary line. As you mentioned, the healthcare is always a big piece. The dental piece has no increase, a 0% increase in dental. The healthcare piece is up 8.9%. And that's really driven by 2 pieces. First of all, claims, because as you know, we're claims-based, we pay as you go, self-funded. Claims increased up 9.8%. It was a large jump in claims. And a big piece of that is the prescription costs have gone up 18%. Prescription costs are really driving a lot of the costs, from my perspective, and talking to Blue Cross. If you have coverage for, let's say you're taking a medication that it does not have a generic, you have to take that medication. So there's no alternate for the patient to take that would lower the costs. So there's a lot of that out there right now, so with no alternate for generic. So those costs are going well up. If there's something they want to do in Washington, it would be helpful to address pharmaceutical costs, because that is really, I think, is driving us.
That didn't work for EpiPen.
Imagine that, you think of that, isn't that terrible?
It didn't work for EpiPen. How's it going to work for anything else?
That's awful. Not that you said it, but the whole situation.
You're right, it's terrible. And so, you know, and we're not alone, there's a lot of other communities that are seeing these major increases, and I think that's a lot of it. Another piece that we have to deal with is the Affordable Care Act, which is transitioning to the American Health Care Act. This past year, we had to send out, and if you have health care with us, you get a 1095 form. That's part of the process for us to produce. We produce over 1,200 of those. That's for active employees and retirees who are on active plans. Last year, they gave us a window of like 3 months to send those out. This year it was 2 months, so the time frame was shortened. And we also have to send it out to the IRS as well, electronically, so we have to kind of push that out. So the early part of the calendar year, we're very busy trying to get those pieces out. And now some of the changes that are going to happen, I think, because remember, Congress passed something that has to go to the Senate, so the final version, we don't know.
No.
It's really, I get a lot of this information, it just keeps changing, unfortunately. Pieces of it that have gone through is some pieces of repealing employee and individual mandates. Technically, some of the financial fees and costs to employers or individuals are being waived to bring it right now down to zero. So does that mean we have to continue with these 1095s? I don't know. So there's a lot of things that are up in the air. Some of the things, they're replacing subsidies with tax credits, which affect more the individual, not here, but people are on state health plans. So there's a lot of things that are going, that are moving targets for us that we don't know what's going to happen in the end. That in the end puts a lot of burden on self-funded programs like ours to produce things and to keep an eye on things. So we just don't know right now. So we're keeping an eye on that to see if what's going to happen in the near future, because that could change a lot of things for us.
Ms. Hall?
So, would you say, and I just want to see if I heard you correct, out of the claims that went up 9%, the majority of those claims that went up were for prescription?
Well, part of that increase is there are more claims,
Right.
first of all, and part of that sub-number is the increased cost of prescription. So the cost of the RX pieces are really going up. So that's part of the
Gotcha.
the
So
overall.
I think I asked this before, and I think, so I apologize,
No.
I'm asking again.
Sure.
Who is managing the HMOs? Who's managing the HMOs to ensure that what their referrals and their prescriptions is appropriate, so the claims are appropriate? So
Blue Cross manages that because they have a fee schedule themselves, and they try to maintain the cost down because they know if the cost gets out of hand, then they have a problem as well.
Right,
So they
okay.
have to manage that piece.
Okay, so it's...
So like, well, the RX cost, that's for everybody. That's not, you're not going to be able to manage that. Like, someone's going to get a better price than somebody else.
Gotcha. So is there an incentive that they get Blue Cross in order to manage that, to keep the cost down? I mean, there's going to be an incentive for them to do
Well,
that.
sure, the lower the cost, I mean, they can present us with a better piece. That's the incentive for
And then
them.
they need to
Sure.
keep the
Eventually
rest.
they would.
Gotcha. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
It's really, personally, looking at a lot of this and doing some of the research, like these RX costs are gonna get bad now, and it's just gonna get out of hand.
Yeah.
And that's just, we're all in this boat, and someone's gonna come up with a solution.
Mr. Conti?
Oh, and so much of your budget is just out of your control. I mean,
It's hard, sure.
but I got 4 questions.
Sure.
One is, why are you covering the workers' compensation for the police and fire department?
That's always come out of this.
Like, why? It should be over in the police and fire.
Well, we manage all the workers' comp, so I mean, we have the workers' comp piece for citywide,
For the whole city.
for the whole city, but they break it down for police and fire, so we just manage that, because they have, their process is maybe a little bit different for injuries, they have IODs, because they don't call it workers' comp, but it's, in the end,
Okay.
it's just managed
That's
that
the
way.
way we've always done it, so we're going to continue to do
I
it.
mean, we could do it that way, but it could come out of that department, but it's easy for us, because we're working with the same workers' comp company.
Yeah.
So rather than have them deal with them, we just let us deal with them, and we can work through that.
Yeah.
It's more streamlined.
Why do you have your own life insurance line?
That's the life insurance that's offered for everybody.
Okay. How many employees does the city have today?
Ballpark, I don't have the rough number. I want to be city side is always a little, I want to say between 400, 450. School side is closer to 900-ish. I don't have
So
the
it's
exact
down.
number, roughly. I don't have the, I didn't produce the number, just try to count that. But don't forget, we have like seasonals coming on, so that number kind of jumps around.
That's a question I should probably ask the treasurer. She gets the payroll checks.
Yeah.
I don't see anything in your budget for legal. You don't use any legal services in your department?
There are some legal services that come out of other budgets, I believe.
Yeah, and your workers' comp line, is that?
Well, there's workers' comp that covers any of that legal piece of
Right.
workers' comp.
Right, so
that
the
comes out.
city has a special legal counsel for workers' comp cases.
So of the $100,000 of workers' comp, how much of that is legal services?
It depends, because if we go to the DIA, then we would probably use the
DIA.
Division of Industrial Accidents, which is the overseer for workers' comp's claims. So if you're appealing, then we would need an attorney. But right now, I've had, last year, I wanted to settle a lot of these things that are outstanding, so there were some long-term settlements, long-term.
Did you carry any cases over from last year?
We have nothing pending.
Nothing pending, so right now your slate's clean.
Correct. For that case, it
So-
doesn't mean, though, if someone has a workers' comp claim, there's no workers' comp claim. We just handle it normally through, the workers' comp company.
So
we don't
Barry,
need
how
an
much
attorney.
did-
We don't need an attorney for
How
that.
much did he expend last year on 517,
2,200.
220?
Last year, meaning 2016,
Yeah.
$163,461. This year, she's expended $98,673.
So that's closer to the 100,000.
Boy, that does swing. Yikes. That's all I have. I'm glad I'm not trying to manage that budget.
It's a moving target sometimes. We gotta juggle around. I think we're gonna be fine this year, but it's,
Well, you got one big elephant in the room, it's that health insurance. And
Yeah,
that goes up 10%.
That's-
You're dead.
yeah,
That's a huge increase.
it is.
Just the unemployment line, the 517,230.
Right.
So we're budgeted for $20,000 for this year.
This coming.
What have we expended so far for 2017?
$36,800.
36. So
Yep.
we budgeted 100,000 for that.
I'm sorry?
Well, that was the revised budget for 2017 said
Right.
100,000,
Right.
and we've spent how much?
36,830. Again, you never know.
Well, I would have the with all of the nuttiness over the course of the last year. I would have expected that. I would have expected that amount to have been higher.
Yeah, well, a lot of people must have joined the workforce again.
I think, especially on the school side, because that covers that's only the city side.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
What did we really end up with at the end of the day, as far as the school cuts?
You'd have to ask the school that.
Yeah, they don't-
Okay.
It's our understanding there were 34 positions, but I think that's a better question for the school.
Yeah, we don't.
Okay, I just, yeah.
Sure.
In city side, we had some that were extended. I didn't mean to jump in on you.
Some were extended, so, we had some through the fall season, one through the mid-year. So there was some extended, they might have retired at that point too, so we extended that.
Do you know how many retired from those individuals that were pink slip?
I know, off the top of my head, I believe 2 are eligible to retire. I'll say.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Howard.
Thank you very much.
Keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Take a quick.
Appropriation is
Who wants the water?
55, page 55.
Tonight was my night, Peter. Were you gonna buy me a water if I was thirsty?
Oh my God!
As I see you walk in.
Yeah, so then you're like, right. So you're like,
Take it, take it home.
honestly, I know. You know what? Actually, I'm not really feeling coffee.
Would you like
No, I'm
water?
just kidding. No.
Take it, I would take it home. Put it in your refrigerator.
I put a picture of
date
Peter
on it.
Blair on it and be like, this is my favorite water.
You got my text, right?
You want?
I had my phone up. Because it was
anybody else want one of these?
Have you made it back? I'm shocked.
You want water?
Because after we hung up, I'm like, oh, wait, did I just say?
You want some?
Did I
I'm all
just
set. I just wanna
say?
get
I'll see you tonight when he's in Nantucket. So, and I would have stayed.
Oh, I would have had it too. Almost had it. I would have said it was gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Beautiful day, you know.
That's a good call, lady.
I was hoping Dennis was going to be there. No, thank you. Appreciate it.
I guess. So I picked up my manager, kid who manages my
So-
South branch.
Can I ask that question?
Have a lot around.
Yeah.
Does every union negotiate a COLA? Does everybody get a COLA increase?
So, the way negotiations work, Heather, is that every union is separate.
Hour and a half to
Right.
They make their own presentations. We make counter proposals, we go back and forth.
They come in at high, you guys come in like reasonable, and then you have to talk them down. I get
I will
it.
say with certainty that every single
That's a signal for sound.
That's page 55.
Okay, Dennis, just to go through your department, what we're doing is not just going line by line, but having a dialogue back and forth, what's going on in your department with workers, your procedure within your department, projects going on, everything that's affecting this budget that you want to start off with.
Okay, well, first of all, I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't just say that it's been an interesting year, especially since January 1st, because I have recreation and I've been working over at the park and zoo and animal control as well, and it's actually been very rewarding for me, and I think for the folks who work in both departments, all departments. Folks over at the park department and the zoo, et cetera, have been unbelievable to work with and great, and a testament to the city that someone who's been over a rec for 11 years gets out and gets to go see how another department operates, and I've learned a lot of things that I can bring back to rec, and I think they've learned a lot of things that I've brought over from rec, so it's been hugely beneficial, and I think it will be going forward, because Sonny and I always had a great relationship, and I think now the departments will work even better together, because we kind of have a feel for what each other does and have a high level of respect. That being said, I think Mayor Dumas announced last Thursday at his budget meeting that the position for park superintendent will be posted, and at some point I'll be heading back over to recreation and we'll be hiring someone in the park department, and I'll be around until that process is finalized and work with whoever's coming in, and be here after that to support them as well. So I'd like to just say thank you to all the people that have helped me through the past number of months. Tim Killian has really picked up a lot of extra responsibilities in the recreation department. Poor Cliffy has trouble getting any face time with me, and when he has projects and things going on, it's like, I'm not there because I'm spread thin. So he's certainly looking forward to having me back full time. And I think to a certain extent, both departments, we kept going, we made it through, which was, to save $60,000 for the budget, I think was important, but I think both departments suffered a little bit because they didn't have the leadership that they're used to. So that's probably the main thing going into next year for all the departments, is they'll be back to full staff as far as management and trying to work on things happening.
And just so everyone knows, we're focusing on just recreation for questions, and then we'll come back and do the forestry.
Sure.
Okay. Department for recreation.
Yes.
No, I've seen improvements down at Tilden Stone, so thank you. I appreciate all that you do.
Well, I don't do anything, as you know. Cliffy does, and all the guys.
I know my
so.
mother walks up at Ponce and sees Cliffy there all the time. He's your right-hand man, Mr. Killian, too. Stepping up is a good job. Okay. So for your salaries, do you have the same number of people? You don't have seasonal people coming in, so you...
Well, for the salary and wages line item, it's the same number of people. We do have other salary items, program assistants, which are lifeguards. The city contributes $41,000 towards the lifeguards at the pool. That number is constant for next year. The salaries is just a function of, what the position, what grade, what step, et cetera. So I think there's a minimal increase there. We do have seasonal laborers that come in this time of year and help us, for the items that we just can't get to. That number's staying the same, $6,300. Overtime's the same, $6,500. Everything else is contractual in the personnel section.
How do contracts work within your department? Is it laborers? How for contractual within your department?
So the laborers, which Cliff is the foreman, and everyone who works under him is also they're in the same
The
union. Laborers union, yeah.
Okay, thank you. If I may. Yes, and I just have one question. Heating, lights, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so in that category is called the purchase of service. I had asked Barry and the mayor to lower the amount in the heating budget from fiscal year 17 to fiscal year 18. Just looking at historically, the price of oil has been down. We are, I don't know, there are 2 buildings, Barry, in the city that have oil heat, but we're one, and the price has been down. So we came to an agreement to try to reduce that by $2,500, but shift it over to Lights and Power, which has traditionally been an account where at the end of the year, we've been looking for funds and transferring funds or asking the council for funds. So the total amount between those two, I believe, is the same, but we're shifting the funds from one to the other.
Mrs. Preeta and Mr.
I was
Conti?
going to ask the same question. How are things, so if your building maintenance is lower this year, or the requested is lower this year than in previous, how are things over at the Bartek, and do you have any expectations?
The maintenance of buildings I thought was the same, am I mistaken?
No, it's dropped from $6,825 to $4,000.
Bonds to,
Right, revised,
Oh,
sorry.
the revised. Well, what
Well, the
happens-
requested to, yeah.
So what happens with the revised during the years, in that case, this year we had some extenuating circumstances. We had the gutters have an issue, and there was an issue with the roof and water penetrating the building, so we got additional funds to take care of that. So when I go back to next year, I should be back to my normal level, unless something else comes up.
Well, one of the things I like whenever, more often than not, when there's a request, it's more of a transfer of funds as opposed to requesting money. So you know your numbers really, really well. So that's just, I just didn't know if there was an expectation or if you had any hint about anything that might be coming down the pipe that we would need to know about that.
No, anything that, nothing that's less than $10,000 that we know about, and if something's over 10,000, it'd be on the capital projects. So
And you're both former city councilors, too.
we hope it's not.
You both have,
We never served together, though, unfortunately.
Mr. Conti?
It's probably a good thing.
Before you get along. I don't have any problems with your budget, Dennis, and I'd like to hand out an accolade for your performance, because I think that you are truly a shining star in the personnel field for the city of Attleboro. Your budgets are $701,000, your salaries are $564,000. You're working a miracle on maintaining the acreage that you cover and the programs that you cover on the slim dollars that you get. My question is, the mayor has been involved with a electrical revamping building by building. Have you been the benefit of any of that yet?
We have not been the benefit to date, but we have gone through recently, within 2 months ago, we went through, I think it's a partner with National Grid has come through and reviewed our building, and we're awaiting a proposal to go to all of the new lighting.
Because that'll help you in that lighting.
Yes.
And that would be considered a capital improvement program, so that would be separately funded.
Yes, unless, I don't know how much it would come back as the cost. If it's under 10,000, my understanding, I don't know much about the program there, maybe Barry does, but if it's, they allow you to, they give you a discount, and then they allow you to pay it on your electric bill every month. So it may not be a capital expenditure, but I'm not sure of that.
That's right, you saw it in the hearing.
Yep. So I guess if you have an option where it becomes a capital expenditure, that should be weighed carefully, that we could fund the capital improvement to lower your light bill with a one-time check out of free cash next year.
That is correct.
So I think my committee would be very favorable to that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That concludes my comments.
Thank you.
Anyone have any more questions? Okay, and I know you accept a lot of donations from different entities too, don't you? I know a lot of programs for our children in the city. We're at the forefront, I think, in the area for our recreational facilities.
Well, our recreation facilities,
program
I would say, are
themselves.
second to none
Right.
in
I
this
agree.
area.
I agree.
And the way that's changed in the 12 years that I've been here is that there has been a emphasis on maintaining what we have before going out and doing something new. And the maintenance of all the facilities has just come up unbelievably. If you go on our website, there's pictures of when we started and where we are today. But also, the youth leagues have been very important in the maintaining of the facilities. There are some communities who say, geez, we should be charging the leagues a fee, et cetera. Some communities do. I think in the end that would cost the city, because what happens is, for example, we're trying to do a project now at Tilderby Stone, the upper field. We're trying to redo the field. So Attleboro Youth Soccer has agreed to contribute $10,000 to the project. We just did a resodding of baseball fields over at Ponce and Hewitt. Attleboro Youth Baseball contributed, they paid for the sod, so things that then don't have to come out of our budget. So I think it would be, what's the term, penny wise, pound foolish to say, just think about start charging the youth league, because I think they contribute a lot more on things that they would much more rather pay for, hey, let's get this field done. Like, they can buy into that versus, geez, we need to bring money in via some type of a fee so that, they don't know where it goes. Does it go to pay electricity? Does it go to buy a new vehicle? They'd rather have something that they're vested in.
That's true.
So-
Even when I'm rollerblading around down there, you're a former coach. Everybody that helps out down there is exemplary to see. Councilor Howell, then Councilor Pritchard.
Thank you. I look at your brochures and your reports all the time constantly, because I will call you up and we'll talk about that, and I post it online and do all this stuff because I think it's phenomenal. And as a person that doesn't have a young child here in Attleboro right now, that I always call it the hidden, community that you never find out about. Do you feel that the programs that you have are utilized well by that community? I mean, have you seen an increase? Do you think that people know about them? That's what I want to know. I want to make sure people know about them, and because I think they're fantastic, and that you can tell me they're being utilized fully.
Well, you can always be utilized more. I think it can always improve. And I think Tim Killian's gone a long way to get the word out more. He's more tech savvy than I am, and he gets word out through Facebook and other things that I don't even know how to do, or I just don't do Facebook, etc. But I think the word gets out. We usually go through the youth leagues to get it out. Our summer brochures goes to every child in the school system. Could we do better? We probably could, but there's only two of us, so
Right.
So we appreciate when folks do send it out to their group of people.
Yeah, I just think it's such a phenomenal program. I think in terms of every child in the city needs to know that there's, parents are always looking for things for their children to be involved in. And I know as a single parent myself, I was always looking for something for my child to do while I was still working, and it was summertime. So is there anything that we could do to help?
Well, this is a great opportunity right here, because hopefully folks are watching at home, and our summer brochure is available on the website. We can mail them out to anyone who needs it as well. But there's a lot of free things to do in our brochure for this summer. The fireworks, which is a community thing, but we have a family night over at the Thatcher Pool where you can go swimming for the night, and then we have a big movie on the big screen. We have at Ponce and Hewitt, we run a program where it's kind of, it's like old school to me. You go and we have college kids there who run different types of games, whatever the kids want to do. And that's all summer long from 9 until 11:30 in the morning, and then 12:30 to 3 in the afternoon. And it's a great way for kids. We did it for kids to get out and exercise and get away from the TVs, but a lot of moms and grandparents who are watching kids have found that it's a great thing to do. They've got to bring their mom to the doctors. They can drop them off for a couple hours. They have an appointment, whatever it is. We have the 4 swimming pools, which we do charge for the swimming pools, but we do have programs available that, and it's been a directive of Mayor Dumas and also from the council that no kid will be denied access to our pools, even though there is a fee. And you talk about support from the community. We have 3 or 4 funds where people have done unbelievable things to ensure that we have monies available, so that, for example, if you couldn't afford this particular summer for your child to come to our pools, then the Winnie Bork Fund or the Mike Michelle Fund, or we have the Jeff Burgess Fund, who was a city employee who tragically died. His dad and his sister Amy and Stevie Hool set up a fund where there's money available from that. They send kids on field trips with us, all kinds of things. There are funds available, so that anything we do, someone should be able to participate.
It's awesome. I learned to play tennis down at Livingstone. Back in the day. Miss Parika? Mrs. Parika?
I really, there's nothing I could add besides what he just said. You know, as a parent who has utilized those programs for all three of my children at various times. You know, I grew up in Norwood where we have great programming. You can't even compare it to what goes on here.
I've been trying to get Mrs. Parika to get her kids to become lifeguards because we need some lifeguards.
You do not want little Eddie saving
No
you.
such luck.
You'd be like, oh, sorry. But thank
Now,
you.
kudos to you, Dennis, because like I said, even when I was growing up here, the fields are totally different.
Well, that's not good. Again, that's
to you,
kudos
the
to
staff,
Cliffy and
Cliffy,
Steve
yes.
and
But you're modest too, so
that
thank
crew,
you.
so.
I
Sometimes,
believe it's been 12 years.
I know.
Yeah, it's amazing, huh?
Thank you.
Scary. I don't know what to do next because
Jean's here.
Jean is here. Okay, good.
So we can do all Zoom.
Yes, it's a revolving fund.
So Sue's, yeah, right around the
There's
same.
no budget for
It's a
forestry.
no,
It's part of park.
It's part of park. I didn't know if there were expenses that were
I think
separate.
that you gave me the.
So the zoo, Jean's here. The zoo is a revolving fund, which is not in the general government budget that you have. So, but if you want to talk to Jean about the,
I just like to hear about the animals. Really, do we have, the births that
We have
we
a new
have?
kangaroo.
she has a couple of announcements. Hey, Jean. I you have a couple of announcements, or at least one announcement, right?
I do.
Okay, good. So I'm not going to steal your thunder.
You're not going to show yourself, please?
I can't. I was prohibited
That's
from
right, you
doing
were.
that.
Check out Phil. I think words will speak it that way.
Bless you. Oh, my God. Bless you. Again.
Bless you.
Welcome,
Thank you.
welcome, English. Welcome. We'll do animal control, yeah, next, right? Or are we doing, what are
We'll do
you
animal
doing,
control
Dennis?
next, yeah.
Okay, Jean.
So you see my revolving account. We're trying to keep things as streamlined as possible. However, we do have a couple of big projects we're working on. I think most of you know we're working on renovating the entire rainforest building. Some of it's coming out of trust fund, some of it is coming out of the revolving account. The outside of the building, we're doing the drive-it system because the blocks are crumbling and we need to, paint's not going to stick, so we need to just do a nice stucco on it. So we're going to pay for that. And so that's kind of hitting our budget a little bit. Next year you won't see that, so you'll see the smaller numbers. But this year we also increased our exhibit supplies because we want to renovate that whole rainforest. If we're going to close it for the whole summer, when you walk in, we want you to go, whoa. So that's why we have a little bit of increase in money. Other than that, we tried, and salaries of course, but other than that, we try to keep everything as streamlined as possible. So that's our budget.
So what's before your, as part of the budget votes, is a request to increase the cap
Yes.
on the zoo revolving fund from $1.1 million to $1.5 million. That will allow Jean to expend some of the things that she's just talked about. Her budget for the revolving fund jumped up about $218,000 for the very reasons that Jean identified. One of them is the full-time veterinarian as well. So I know that's desperately needed at the zoo.
Absolutely.
So between health insurance, full-time vet, and the capital projects that Jean wants to fund through her revolving fund, that makes up the $218,000 increase. That's what we would ask, of course, for your support with the cap increase to help Jean proceed with some of those projects.
Right. One of the things that I promised City Council when I first started is that I will not keep that zoo stagnant. We have to keep it fresh and relevant, and we have a lot of competition. So besides the rainforest project, we also have we just are working on building a conservation corner for children. We put in a beautiful colored caterpillar where kids can climb on it. It's really a nice addition. We're putting in some more colorful graphics, and it's just a nice, safe kids area. And we just brought this little guy in and his sister, and that's going to open. You're going to see it in the paper Friday.
What is that?
Red panda.
A what?
Red
Red Panda.
Oh.
Red panda.
It's even cuter in person.
Person, that's right. And if anybody would like to come see him, please come see me. I'd love to take you in. Barry got a up close and personal view.
What are you doing tomorrow?
Site visit.
Right. That's right, absolutely. But that's why we're asking for this increase in the cap, because we want to continue moving forward. Not only that, a lot of our animals are aging out because our population has come to the zoo about the same time. So replacement of animals and transport and so forth, it gets very costly. So in order to keep the zoo full with animals, to keep visitors coming back and with new attractions and keeping the splash pad going and these kinds of things, it's really important that I can pop up my cap a little bit.
Mr. Deleuze?
Always good to see you, Jean. So I know last year we changed the fee structure for admissions. Can you talk a little bit about, did you get the growth you wanted to see from that? How did it impact admissions? Did you see any change?
We are down a little bit on admissions. I don't blame that on the increase on the admissions fee. I do blame that on our weather. We are so weather dependent, and even though it's not been a horrible winter in spring, it's been a cold and rainy winter in spring, and that's really kept people away. So we are seeing a little bit of a decrease, but now that the warmer weather's coming up, it's starting to pick up again.
Jean rallied last June, $235,553 of revenue in 1 month. So we're fully expecting with June's nice weather for Jean to rally again.
Right, to finish
School
up
trips
this year. Absolutely, we have a lot of school trips planned, and then starting the new fiscal year, we'll be hitting the first month with Zoo Moon, which always gives us a nice bit of revenue. So I'm not upset about the decrease, but we just are going to work harder to keep that going.
And that's one thing we talked about last year. You said, early on in the spring it's very unpredictable anyway, but you tend to make it up anyway. So kudos and congratulations, because, I know that Mrs. Parika helped me out with that, and working closely with you, it just shows, the partnership that needs to happen sometimes between the department head and the council, and a certain amount of trust that needs to be there. So,
And honestly, between 2016 through May 31st of last year, compared to May 17th of this year, with 2 weeks left to go, Jean's only behind $78,000 in revenue. So she's got 2 more weeks to try to make that up. But even if she doesn't, that's pretty darn close in light of the weather that we've had. Her zoo is affected by the weather. It is.
We've had a lot of rain.
Yes.
Exactly. And the
My
cooler
grass
temps.
needs cutting again already, and just cutting.
If I could take these next 3 days and put them on the weekend, life would be good, but unfortunately, it's in the middle of the week, so it kind of gets us, and so we have to wait till school is out.
How
But
the field trips, all the schools
they're
coming
really
in.
picking up, yeah. This is the time of the year where they start coming in like crazy, and they have been.
And the educational component that you offer also, that's
Yeah.
great.
Oh, that's doing great. Camps are filling up quickly. We're already full on a lot of the different week camps. So yeah, we're doing everything we possibly can to make sure that every bit of revenue is brought into the zoo. We're very revenue minded.
Well, what kind of marketing strategy do you use? You got the new pandas coming in. Okay, so what would obviously that's a big deal, something you want to get people marketing, you want to send it out to different places. What do you do?
So we broadcast it out to different media sources. That's one of the reasons why Sun Chronicle is coming out. Tomorrow we also work very close with Light Rock 105. They are very good at getting our commercials out on time, and we're able to say many things in that short commercial span. So we're on the air, on the radio, all day long from actually this month all the way up until Zubu.
How about the News 12? We used to know a guy from...
Yep, they come out.
They come out?
They come
Good.
out. Everybody,
Okay.
yep, and we broadcast it out to everybody.
So, I have another question for you
Sure.
too. So when you do the rainforest, all of those animals have to be caught and moved. What do you do? What's that process that you have to go through to get all those animals? Where do you put them?
Sure. So some of the animals, all the animals will be gone out of the rainforest by May 20th. That's the end of this week. That's our goal. There's going to be a couple
You're taking them home?
no, my dogs wouldn't like that. But they're all tucked away all over the zoo. So we have a couple of satellite areas, and they're tucked in there. There's some in the Sadler building, some are off exhibit. We just have our main concern is making sure that we caught them and they are in places that will be okay in. So the only problem we had was for the porcupine because he is a bit of a chewer. They're rodents. So we're redoing some of our exhibits to make sure we can house him safely, and he'll have a permanent home in there. So all the animals are going to be safe and set. One of the things that I just talked to the Park Commission about is we are going to up our animal collection once the rainforest is done. I held off doing that because that would be more animals that we would have to house. So once the birds go back in or the animals go back in, we're going to be bringing some more animals and really pop up that rainforest with a lot of different species.
Thank you. I have just one more thing. I can tell you, just as we are dependent on the animals and the people and the children like to go in and see, they are dependent on us. I went there in the wintertime, as you know, to see the otters, and that little guy was going crazy because they don't get to see people. When there's a visitor there, they go nuts. So just remember that they like to see you too. So everybody come out to the zoo. The animals are missing you.
That's right.
That's a good sales pitch.
I like that.
They're missing you.
The animals need you. So we can play some like sad music, get the panda bear eyes going. We can do a whole thing.
Any more questions?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Any more questions or anything else, Jean, you'd like to add?
I do not have any more questions, but I'll be happy to answer any questions. And if anybody, as always, ever wants to come by the zoo, we'll be happy to show you around. Thank you.
Friends of the Kipper and Park Zoo still thriving?
They're doing well. They're doing good. They're doing a really good job. They're trying their hardest.
Well, good. What should I believe?
They're doing a great job. They are looking at a whole new marketing campaign. They are not doing the Passport series this year, but they are trying a different fundraiser. They've always got something going on, so I'm really proud of them. They're a great group of people. I love working with them.
Yeah, their philosophy's kind of in transition.
Yes, they'll get there.
Yes.
One thing that I think should be noted is that the tropical rainforest project that's being done, a big portion of it is being funded by the Samuel M. Stone Trust Fund, which was established by, his family. I think it was Tilda B. Stone who might have set it up years ago. I don't know, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, and the interest builds up, and Gene's able to expend some of the income that comes in, and it's right now this project I think is at $120,000 is coming out of that. So
Just
the forethought of those folks, and to give back to their community is still giving, 50 years later. It's amazing.
The structural is somewhere around 130,000, and then the drive-it system that we're putting in for the exterior is at around 80,000, and then our guys will come in and just renovate the whole exhibit, which we're looking at probably about 30,000.
And that's something else that is worth mentioning, is that a lot of the in-house stuff are done by some very talented craftsmen.
And I also
Staffers. Right.
kudos to your staff, because even they do a lot of the stuff alone too. Mr. Conte, this pretty.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring this up, but since you touched upon it, I can't stop myself. All of your funding is revolving account. Councilor Delicio and I have been talking about those revolving accounts and about the size of those revolving accounts and increasing the size of those revolving accounts and increasing the percentage of dollars that go into the revolving accounts in hopes of setting a small portion of the revolving account into a capital fund that would grow from year to year to year to year to year, much like the Tilda B. Stone Trust Fund or the Samuel Stone Trust Fund, or the 312 trust funds that are in the care of the Trust Fund Commission. But this would be a fixed, almost like a dependable, reliable, fixed capital fund that would be there so that you wouldn't have to go to trust fund commissioners or hope that there is available funds in the trust fund. So that this would be something you could watch grow, you could plan long-term for, and have as a capital asset in your repertoire of funding. Barry, the questions to Barry as well as to you, where are the pitfalls in that thinking?
Well, your first pitfall is you're incorrect in suggesting that the revolving fund pays for everything in the zoo. $450,000 of salaries is paid out of the general
Right,
fund.
I knew that.
Okay.
Yeah. But what do you think about the concept of having the revolving fund percentage increase where they can be increased and the revolving fund limits risen where they can be risen to accommodate?
You say revolving fund percentage. The zoo keeps the zoo fees and
100%?
Yes.
Yeah, so but they're not all revolving funds get 100% of the money.
That's true.
That's right. So I'm talking broadly
Okay.
about revolving funds. In your case, where you do get 100%, are you open to thinking about setting up a capital fund?
If that's permissible by the laws, absolutely.
Yeah, we believe it is. But
The only problem I can see with that is then you're dependent on the capital, on having that money yourself, whereas you are getting it from the city right now when you need that. Is that correct?
Well, again, what part of Jean's budget are capital items. You heard her
Correct,
herself,
okay.
$80,000 of the drive-it is being raised in her revolving fund.
Okay.
The other $10,000 exhibit capital improvements are being raised in the revolving fund. So Jean does raise capital projects in her revolving fund.
And what if there was ever a capital project, let's just say that would, let's just say it would break the budget or break her budget or be an unreasonable request in her budget, would she then have to go for the city or?
And she has, and you have
Okay,
approved
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
comes out of free cash.
yeah, okay, so it does. So some of it you earn yourself and then some of it does come from the city. So it's sort of a partnership.
It definitely is a partnership.
Okay.
And the zoo is received so well by the city, they are always open to listen to anything I have to say on suggestions on building the zoo to a higher level.
Mrs. Parika? Nothing. You sure? No one have any more questions? Well, I'll be down with Emily soon.
All right, sounds good. And we'll see you soon.
When's the Bears coming? When did you say?
The panda bears not panda bears, the red pandas are already here.
Oh, okay.
They will be open to the public this Friday.
Okay.
How old are they?
They will be a year in July.
Do they have names?
Sisters?
Yes,
Did I hear you say sisters?
brother and sister.
Brother and sister.
Right. So we're right now we're holding them, and eventually we're going to swap one out for a potential breeder.
That I was going to ask.
Do they mate? Would they mate the two of them?
No.
Council Parika asked what their names are.
Yes.
Oh, is there like a little bit?
Peanut butter and jelly, mac and cheese. No, but we're going to announce it on
we
Friday.
can't.
Okay, that's good.
Can I speak to you in the council
Everyone has
chambers?
to come to the zoo.
This is the build-up.
This is the build-up.
Build-up.
That's right.
Build-up.
These things are incredibly cute and friendly.
They're
And
not things. These. Or a contest, maybe a contest?
red pandas.
The city, someone in the city picks names, or?
They actually have names, and if I could remember what they are, I would tell you.
No, the build-up. The build-up. Thank you, Chief.
I tried to pull that off. You wouldn't let me. Thank you.
Thank you. Suspense.
Actually,
Good night.
Good night.
How about Butch? Okay.
Okay, animal control and
What page is that? I'm so sorry. Rolling back. Yeah.
Assume you all know Mr. Kiefer, Butch Kiefer.
yes.
yeah, and then forestry's on 59. We'll do animal control and then the forestry.
Park and forestry.
Park and forestry. Butch. I always see when my little Murphy gathers all the dogs out from the neighborhood. So thank you. I know you guys work really hard down there. How's the new building? Everything going?
Couple little hiccups. Had one pipe had a leak, and then the generator It seems like every time I lose power, the generator has an issue. So a block heater we had to replace last time. So Friday we lost power. It just kept cranking. So the battery was dead and the starter was dead. So we had to get those replaced.
Okay.
So hopefully it'll be.
Yeah, was that the generator? Refresh my memory about the history of the
The
generator.
generator was part of the donation.
A donation,
Yes.
okay.
From,
I think we had a lot of discussion with regards to whether or not that would.
Is that on an annual maintenance contract?
Yes, and it has a test run every Friday. I wasn't there at 8 o'clock this past Friday to know if it was running, but I was there when the power went out and it just would not kick over. So, this week.
How many animals roughly are we housing now?
I think I've got 7, 8 dogs. I'm not sure how many cats are in there. Probably at least a dozen. And we just had some kittens brought in, so. And we got a couple dogs in foster care.
Okay, great. Okay, anything else in the department that you want to update us on?
Everything's going well. It's a busy time of the year with the wildlife, a lot of wildlife calls. Actually, lately we've been getting a lot of calls with people bringing their dogs in their cars. We had them yesterday and today at the courthouse. It seems to be our hot spot. So they bring their dogs with them, leave them in the car, go into the courthouse. The one yesterday was 108 degrees in the car. Wow. Yeah, and there's a new tethering law that affects that, so they get a warning that it's a $150 fine, $300 fine, $500, and we've actually got the right to break windows if need be.
Yes. What happens if someone goes into the store and they have an automatic starter and they leave the AC on for the dog?
We'll probably just wait by, because it happens a lot. I've been called to stop and shop. The car will be running, and the air conditioning's running, so. But like this yesterday and today was in North Main parking lot. Little puppy, little pit pup today, and it was, I think, a dash hound yesterday, so.
Just leave your dogs home.
Yeah,
I
leave the dogs home,
understand. That's just.
especially with the temperature rising
So
now.
how are you looking for calls and are you seeing any repeats in certain areas? I know you've had to deal with.
We have our
peak
share of
areas.
regulars, as I call them. Yeah, but right now it's a lot of wildlife calls, because everybody's seeing the fox, the baby fox, raccoons, you name it, owls. We have an owl down near the shelter. Stray dogs now, barking complaints, people opening their windows.
Because
Yeah.
One thing I learned recently, and if you could please expound on this, is when there's a cat up in the tree, there's a particular place you need to call. There's only one place that will come and do cat rescues. Do not call the fire department.
Nope, Animal Rescue League of Boston.
Thank you.
They have a climbing crew that will come down.
They will come down, so don't call the fire department. Animal Rescue League of Boston actually has a tree climbing crew.
Yes, yep, they have. I think they might have 2 crews, but they do.
Yes, I know.
Because they expect us to climb the trees, and they complain to the fire department.
I tell my own
No, our health insurance, we don't need any more liabilities, please don't.
No, but I mean, people panic when they
They
see
do.
a cat up there. They do. They just don't. They want to go up and help it. They don't know how to help it, and people will stand by that tree till somebody comes and gets that cat down.
Yeah,
Right?
and it
With
just
my kid
scares
up
them
that
more
tree,
when
I'd be
they're
like,
down
get
there,
yourself
so.
up there, get yourself down.
And then it just keeps climbing up even higher. Yeah. So, thank you.
They'll come down eventually. Get hungry and they'll
Anything
find a
else
way
you'd like
down.
to add, Barry?
No.
For animal control? I know you have a pretty slim budget for that, so we do appreciate you and all your staff. Greatly appreciate
Anything else that you want to tell?
No, it's going well. We're doing what we can do.
If I just may, so your holiday overtime, because it's only you and Carolyn,
Yes.
so just your holiday overtime is it's reduced from the revised 2017? Because you budgeted this year, the requested and recommended is 15,500.
Yep.
And the 2017 revised is 16,750. What has he expended so far?
11,460.
We haven't had to make any transfers or anything for that.
Revised, no.
But that also covers sick leave coverage, holidays,
Sure.
vacation, so.
Well, I just was, again, if it's a matter, like, you dropped it by $1,000, like $1,200, so I didn't.
Yeah, so Butch and I we looked at all of his overtime accounts because it's been, I guess, for a number of years, it's been something that they haven't had a great handle on. I don't think so. Butch and I went through every scenario and we came up with what we thought was a very accurate, fair estimate for next year. I think you're quite happy with the number that's in there.
We pretty much went with the vacation that we've taken and when we take it. Sick days we can't really project, so.
Oh, good. That was the only difference that I could recognize. So.
And you know what, time is hard because you can't tell the dogs not to sneak out. They have to go chase them. Right? Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Butch.
Thanks for everything you do, too. Tough job.
You said you were going to
Yeah, it's conservation.
Hey, Butch.
Come on, Terry.
Come on, Sarah.
Don't feel left out.
Thank you so much.
You can pull up all over it.
Let's go to conservation meeting. Richard has to go over to the conservation. Sometimes we have to do two things at once.
Or three.
Or 3 or 4. Okay, so we're doing Park and Forestry, 5759. 5759. Dennis, I'm going to start off with a question for you.
Okay.
C-clip fix.
Yeah.
How is, I know with the park and Park and Forestry, I utilize that a lot of other people since.
So you're the one.
I'm a C-clip fix.
I do, I like it.
Because it's on the record and then you can see, but the only thing is because personnel was cut, has, and because I'm going to ask Lance and every other department too, who's doing the C-clip fix? Is it kind of,
Well, they could address this too afterwards, if so be it. In recreation, we don't have very many C-click fixes.
That's what I didn't
Comes
ask.
directly to me. In the park department and the forestry department, they have quite a few, but I think the system's actually pretty seamless. I know that Scott's not there anymore doing it, but it comes in, someone looks at it, I think it's DPW, and then they forward it out, and we just had one today. So I get an email about it, Terry gets an email about it, and the three of us get an email. So like, next time we see each other, like, who's on it, who's doing what, how's it going, and so I think it works.
Yeah, it looks really
so since you've been navigating it a little different, I just want to make sure you have enough manpower too, to make sure that the services, I do like the C-click fix, because then it goes to the appropriate department, then you see, okay, it's been here for a day, 2 days, somebody will call the person back, and when it gets fixed, it gets done, and it's all recorded, but I just didn't want it to also be a hassle for every department also, because having Scott Folan, who was cut, the person, well, I don't want to use the person's name.
Yeah.
The personnel, that position was reduced within the last budget, basically cut. So that's now affecting other departments, say DPW or the forestry, and I just want to make sure that I'm asking the question, because it does now, you'll have to pick up the slack.
Right. Usually they used to go to the mayor's office. The mayor's office would then forward it to the department. I, as the clerk, would get them and I would acknowledge that we received it, and then I would assign it to the foreman, saying thank you for your request. It's been, passed on to the foreman. We're going to check it out and get back to you. And then usually within 24 hours, it's usually settled. Then I go in and I close it.
So the process within our department is the same.
Right, it didn't
How it
change.
gets to us has changed, but within our department, it hasn't changed.
Okay, great. That's great to hear, because I just didn't want it to be an inundation for your department too, because I know there's a lot of calls for now, once you get a new forestry director, right? So thank you, Dennis.
But it's Terry, if it's a forestry thing, Terry gets in touch with Terry Mello, gets in touch with the forestry folks who work under his supervision as well, and sends them out to look at it or take care of it. And if it's something in the park, then the park guys take care of it. It's actually a great tool. I've found it to be a great tool, and it's residents are paying our salary, so if they have something that's of concern, it's great, because they'll send a picture in.
Picture.
You can see what the situation is, etc.
For trees and wires, and I know I've asked Sunny this, what's the process of going around the city and having to cut the cutbacks from trees and branches? What I've been trying to do is with an origination of, say, go to the property owner and say this is a tree, but if you may have to come and cut across,
Well, it kind of depends. So
what's overhanging onto city side?
we were getting a lot of calls, probably maybe not a lot historically, but when I got there, I was like, wow, we're getting a lot of calls about, this tree is it's a city tree, and it should be cut down, or it needs to be trimmed back, or whatever. So Terry and I sat down and we came up with a policy. There was kind of policy there, but it wasn't formalized. So we've actually put a formal policy together, and it's available on the Park and Forestry website. And basically, if a tree is up in the wires, live wires, and we don't go anywhere near it. It's anywhere from, is it 10 feet?
10 feet from the...
Yeah, then you get in touch with National Grid, and they'll come out and take care of it. We don't go anything near a wire. If it's below a wire, et cetera, we would go and determine if it's on city property or not, and if it is, we would determine if we should cut the limbs or not. A lot of times, folks think a tree's, dead and should come down, and I think maybe half the time is the case, and I couldn't tell a dead tree from a live tree, but Terry certainly can, and other people. So
Terry's like your cliff.
he's the tree man, and Eddie Pina goes out with him and make determinations. And what's so great now is with the Google Earth. We just sit in the office, we have Google Earth, and we can take a look at the tree right from the office.
Right in the computer, and go and look at it.
They used to go out and look at it, and drive down to South Attleboro to take a look. So now you just go on so long as the picture's somewhat
Up to
recent.
date.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, can you both tell everybody who you are and what you do in the department? I want to make sure you
Terry
get
County, I'm the
acknowledged.
administrative clerk of the Park and Forestry.
Terry Mell, I'm the Park and Forestry foreman.
Thank you. I just want everyone to get acknowledged.
So since you introduced him, I should have done that, but I have found them to be unbelievable to work with, great employees, and very, very dedicated. And Terry here has had a lot of responsibilities on her shoulders. She does unbelievable. I wouldn't call her an administrative clerk, but that's her title. But she's to be commended for the work she does.
Yes, thank you very much.
Not just like Terry, who does as well. I work with her all the time, all day.
Always so responsive.
But I just wanted to have you acknowledged. So as we go through, and I think it's important why I asked that question, is a lot of people do not understand National Grid is actually responsible, correct?
Yes.
For the wires. So that's systematically, yeah, correct. So I just wanted to make sure. For personnel, additions, reductions, overall?
No changes. In personnel, it's the same number of employees, just the step increases that they...
For overtime, how do you handle overtime within that department?
How do you handle it?
To have to go out in the way that, who goes out? Is it salary? Is it, because they wouldn't get the overtime? How do you handle calling people out after hours if they have to go out?
Well,
For an emergency?
The only person whose salary would be right now, myself. I don't have a
Okay.
salary in that
Yep.
department, but I would be the only salaried person. And so it's an overtime situation with the fellas that are in the union, and Terry can tell how they...
Yeah, normally it's the police call me, and I will call whoever available to go in, mostly for trees down, storms, or just trees down falling anywhere within a public way, on a sidewalk or a street. The police are pretty good. If they can, actually, if it's small and they can push it to the side of the road, then they'll save the 4-hour callback. But I mean, we've had some pretty significant storms in the past 2 years where we've had a lot of callbacks. And with the 2 years of drought, with the gypsy moths and the tent caterpillars and the winter moth, a lot of the trees have been weak, so we've used a lot of overtime on callbacks.
Never thought about that. That's actually good information. Never thought about that with the gypsy moths and with the integrity of the...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
There's actually quite a big infestation right out here at City Hall that will be taken care of hopefully Friday morning.
We just got, we just got the communication from the mayor for a sprayer for your department.
Correct.
Right, to kind of help preserve that.
okay. Dennis, anything
It was a
else?
transfer, I think.
Well, and what did you say? What did you say?
I think it was a transfer.
Yeah, it's a
Whatever. My apologies, but it's so that you can. Well, as we talked earlier about how great it is about transferring, it is a transfer, but it is something that will be utilized to maintain
Absolutely.
the decorative trees in the city or in Cape Park. But I do walk in the park, so I have to give you kudos. I walk in the park every morning. I see you guys all the time, and it has been such a joy to watch all the trees come into bloom. You guys do a phenomenal job down there, and Dennis, and there you can. it's really been an improvement, and you guys have done a great job, so thank you for that.
From the farmer's market.
Yeah, that'll be at O'Connell Field. We got a little bit of seed over there.
So that's nice.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, Dennis?
I just want to say on behalf of the city of Attleboro to thank Dennis for basically volunteering to fill in for Sonny for over six months because he trained with Sonny a little bit before. I don't think you see that very often in the city of Attleboro, at least not from this level, where an employee volunteers his time to split between two departments, and it really went a long way. And I just want to let everybody know how much we appreciate that. He's done a wonderful job. And we're going to miss him at the park department.
Yeah. And you're lucky to have great staff.
That's what I was going to say. That would never work if you didn't have the staff that you had, as you probably well know, right?
From the get-go, everyone over there has been unbelievable. Poor Terry Mello, how many times do I call you at night at 8 o'clock or something?
Yeah.
Now you have Cliffy does.
So I said, Terry has, his emails on his phone, which he probably regrets since I've been there. Because, I'll send them. He says, how many emails do you send a day or a night? And he's, we got his daughter's soccer game and he's responding to emails, and
Thank you.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Terry.
And everybody comments on how great our city looks too, the park and forestry and our recreation, so we all thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, anything else?
I just have one general question for Barry. So the two positions that potentially going to be filled are pretty high-level positions.
Which park superintendent,
Correct. And then for water.
the water superintendent.
Correct. And so so when those get put back in the budget, what's the,
They are in the budget, so the
Okay.
budget for 18.
all right, so they both are in there?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to, I didn't want to see like I don't want to say I didn't want to see, but I wanted to know that if we were going to now see a big bump up, but it's already there.
No, depending upon when or if we fill those positions, we might even see a credit, so.
Okay.
We did
Yeah,
budget.
in fact, for the park superintendent, rehiring for that position at
July 1st.
step 1, grade
Right.
12, there's a reduction in salary line for the park department, so it's being
If you
absorbed
look
right
at
into
their
that.
salary line, I think there is a,
Yeah, thank you.
he went out at over 100.
Thank you, and I'm glad we're not here that late this evening, so I'd like to call adjournment for budget appropriations. All in favor? That's adjourned. Thank you, I tried not to keep people too late.